Good morning, dears. Okay, I'll be beginning with Servlet programming exam today. And before I go ahead, please do all of you one thing. Take a pen and a paper. Go on taking down the steps. Okay, the steps are very important. See, the steps vary from ID to IDE. Okay, uh, since I'm using Eclipse, see, whatever steps I'm telling, it is with reference to the Eclipse only. Okay, in a NetBeans, what altering that I'll be telling at the end of the class, not now. Okay, don't get confused with the things. So please do one thing. As and when I go on telling the steps, write it down for the first example that I'm taking. Okay, once that is done, the second example onwards, I will be prompting. You will be telling me what should I do next. Okay, only if I do this kind of interactive sessions, you will understand. Gautam is telling your voice is not clear. Please tell me, others, please tell me whether this is not clear.
Ma'am, it's breaking.
It's breaking. I'll stop my video then.
It's breaking, ma'am.
Now it is okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So shall we begin? So all of you please take down the steps. First of all, when I'm going ahead with first ever program in Eclipse. Okay. Um, so let us begin with the example program. Obviously, first ever program in any implementation will be Hello World program. Okay. My voice is clear before I continue?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Yeah. See, first thing that I need to do is, as I have told in the previous class also, you have to change the perspective. Look, the perspective that I am right now is Java double E. Okay, you have to go to Java double E in your Eclipse. This is the first step that you are doing. Okay, then next thing that you are doing is adding of the new server. Okay, so I will just, you first of all you need to install Tomcat. Okay, if you want the Tomcat server installer, I will be giving in the Google Classroom. If you want, it is downloadable. Okay, you can very well download it from the internet also. See, normally when you change the perspective Java double E, the second step I'm talking about, once you have installed the Tomcat, there is a tab in the lower console window by name servers. Okay, you can just see the console windows tabs will be altering once you change the perspective. Fine. So once you have changed the perspective, you will see a tab by name servers. Okay, on that you have to right click. You have to right click and go to add or remove. Actually now it is showing me add or remove. It is just because I have already added a server. Otherwise there will be a message coming here asking for you want to add any server here, and there will be a link given for new server wizard. Okay, I'll repeat it again. There will be a statement coming in the console window. You want to add any server, link to new server wizard. There will be link provided for that. Okay, once you click on that, the window will pop up. There you are choosing add option is there you are choosing add and choose the path in which you have installed the Apache Tomcat. Okay, once you choose that particular path, click next and yes, finish. Okay, it will make sure that Tomcat server begins, and at any point in time when you start the next time the Eclipse, it will show like this: Tomcat server is there but it is right now stopped. Are you getting this? This is the second step. First step is change the perspective. Second step, provided you have installed Apache Tomcat, you are going to servers tab and click on new server wizard. Okay, new server wizard, add the new server that you want. Once you have done that, there will be a folder, there will be a project created in the project explorer by name server, and if I click on it, it will show you Tomcat version 7 server. Okay, and since I'm working, on the web page, working on the web browser, The web browser, whatever you are doing, that happens to be the local host web browser. It means in the same machine you are doing the application, running of the application. That's why by default the local host will be taken for any Tomcat. Okay, are you all okay with this? These two steps are very important. I'll repeat again. First step, change the perspective from Java to Java EE. Second step, add the new server after having installed Tomcat server in your machine. Okay, once this is done, you will get a project created in the Project Explorer. Are you all okay with this? Can I proceed ahead?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so the first two steps are very crucial. Then when you're creating any servlet or JSP, or even take it as ASP, EJB, whatever you are creating, we are creating what is called as dynamic application. I call it as dynamic web application. Till now, whatever you have done, they are termed as static applications because the input and output are all working on the console that is being provided in the IDE. Okay, nowhere it is related to any browser. Okay, when web browser comes, dynamically the things may change. For example, date and time you display on the screen. We will be doing those such kind of programs in the sessions and cookies. Okay, so uh, even if you press the reload button, automatically the date and time will change. So it is dynamically changing. You are not giving any input every time. That's why we call such projects as dynamic web projects. Okay. So third step that you are doing, you are going to right click, go to new and select dynamic web project. Okay. I'll repeat again. In the project explorer, let me just minimize this bit for a while. Okay, in the project explorer, right click, go to new and select dynamic web project. Please write down the steps as I am telling. Again I am telling, I think fourth time I have repeated this. Okay, once I do this, a new window will appear. There you are giving the name of the project with which you want to create the web application. Okay, so let me give my first servlet. Let me give the name as first servlet. I will always use camel casing. Okay, because it is Java related, I'll use the name convention as camel casing. Then click on next. Please be crucial in doing this step. This step is very important. Don't directly click on finish. Remember this. Don't directly click on finish. There is a problem if you directly click on finish. Okay. Because there has to be a modification done in the next window that will appear. Fine. So what I have done in the first thing, I've given only the project name. Nothing else I have changed. And I'll just press on next. In the next window, no change at all. Go to next again. In the last window that has appeared, you can just see the context root that has been created as first servlet. It acts as the root of the project that you are creating. And also there is a second option shown which is called as content directory. This web content is a folder that will be created automatically when you create a dynamic web project, and this web content is a holder for your HTML file, XML file, XHTML file. I'll repeat. Whenever you create a new dynamic web project, the root of that project will be the name that you have given. Okay, so I call it as context root, and by default any web project will be associated with one folder called as content directory, named as content directory, but it looks in the project by name web content. This web content is a folder which contains all the GUI parts that are required. GUI parts, it means HTML, XHTML, XML, all these things are contained in this folder called as web content. By default, it will be created for you when you create the project. Okay. Now, inside this web content, there is a prerequisite for any project to run properly. Okay, that requirement or prerequisite is the web.xml file. This is why you should not press directly the finish button. Okay, you have to check this. It means you have to select that option. It will be by default unchecked, because there are some of the dynamic web project creation things which don't require web.xml to be available for the user end. But for servlet, for JS PBTO which you are doing, web.xml is the first ever file which will be activated for the further running of the application. I will be telling more about web.xml, okay, soon after the steps are over. So what is that I have done? I have right clicked, gone to new and dynamic web project. Okay. Once I have pressed that, give the name of the project, go on pressing next, next 2 times. Okay. Now by default the things will be filled in the last window, but you have to check the unchecked checkbox, generate web.xml deployment descriptor. Okay, this deployment descriptor is the first ever file getting loaded into the servlet runner, who will search for web.xml whenever the run option is clicked. Okay, it is similar to bootstrap loader. I hope you know what is bootstrap loader. Bootstrap loader is the first person to get loaded and which initiates the operating system. Similar to that, to initiate the servlet, I require what is called as deployment descriptor, which will have many options. I'll show you when this creates. Okay, so check this and click on finish and just wait until it loads. Okay, you can just see there is a first servlet created, and if I go on, it will have so many things in it. Okay, so next thing is I will just open up this web content. This is what is web.inf I was talking about. If you don't check that in the last window, the checkbox, this part will be empty. This part will be empty. So web.xml will not be generated for you. Okay, that's why don't press finish directly once you create the new project. Now this is your third step. Okay, first step is change the perspective, load. Second step, load the server. Third step is create a new dynamic web project, and that creation of dynamic web project with web.xml. Okay, now next part is I will just go to this Java resources. Okay, so many things are there in this. So many things are there. Okay, out of these so many things, the things that I will be editing is web content folder and Java resources folder. I'll repeat again. I will be editing web content folder and Java resources folder. Okay, so now I have enhanced the web content folder and shown what is the content in it. I'll be bothering about the content of this later. Okay, now I'll be writing my Java file inside Java resources. Similar to the normal Java projects, I will have an src folder. Okay. Now what I will do, I will just open this Java resources and click on src folder. Then right click on this, similar to the Java class file that you create. Similar to that, right click on src. This is your fourth step. Go to Java resources. Okay. Right click on src, go to new and select from the last the third option. What is that? Servlet. I'll repeat again. Go to Java resources under the project that you have created. Then right click on src, go to new and select servlet. Okay. Any doubt up to this point? Can I proceed ahead? Please let me know from your end.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I have one doubt in this.
Hmm.
In the servers tab, you told to create a new server, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there. Click this link to create a new server. I'm getting that.
Hmm.
And then I will be selecting the server, right?
Correct. The
That
server has to
Tomcat.
be installed
Yeah,
in
I
your
have
machine.
installed it.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a Tomcat 9 version that
Not an
yeah.
issue. Not an issue.
Okay, then which server? Here there are many servers. V7.80, I mean V7.0, V8.0.
Yeah, Tomcat 9 you have, no? Definitely you will have Tomcat server 9.0, version 9.0.
Okay, then next it is like telling to the browse the directory? I mean, which
Directory,
one?
the directory
Bin,
where you have installed that you have to give there.
yeah, I mean,
It
like
will be in
in the
C
Apache,
program files, C program
yeah,
files. Okay.
Apache, and then
Huh.
Tomcat 9.0.
Yeah.
And inside I mean, I need to select the Tomcat 9.0 folder, or inside that I have to go and bin that folder for this.
You have to select the bin folder.
Okay, bin.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Varshini, I'll be giving those steps in the Google Classroom. Don't worry about that. Okay. Installation steps, everything I'll be sharing it with you in the Google Classroom. Don't worry. Okay.
Ma'am, but it is finish option is not enabled, ma'am. Even though I
That's what
selected
I will just give you the steps. You can follow up that. Okay. I have
okay,
taken
ma'am,
the
fine.
screenshots. I'll be sending those screenshots to you.
Okay, ma'am, fine.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Now, inside this, when I have clicked, what I have done, right clicked on src folder. Okay. Then I have selected new. Okay. And then I have chosen servlet. Okay. Now in this, if you want to create a package, and inside that package, if you want to place all your classes, definitely you can give the Java package that you want. Okay. Um, just 1 minute. I will unlock the meeting. 1 minute. Okay. Yeah. Now, inside this, you have to give what is called as the class name. Okay. Say, for example, let me give first as the name of the Java file that with which I want to create. Okay. Then I'll click on next. Okay. Don't worry about right now. This URL mapping is very important. Okay. This part is very important. As it is required, I will take care about that. Okay. Click on next. Now in this window, you will be shown with so many options what you want a class.java file to be created with. Okay. So do you want any constructors? Do you want any inherited abstract methods? Okay. Do you want definitely you want inherited abstract methods, among them which you want and which you don't want. Okay. By default, do get and do post both will be selected. Yesterday I was speaking about do get, do post or service method. Okay. So what I will do, I will simply select do get for a while and uncheck do post, and I want init, I want destroy, because I want to follow the life cycle of the servlet. Okay. For the first ever example that I am taking. Then once I am done with the choosing of the methods that I want, I will click on finish. Okay, with this, see, you can see in my Eclipse, there is a problem for this. Okay, but usually in the versions of Eclipse that you have created may not be facing the same problem. Okay, but in my Eclipse, there is a problem getting created. You can just see everywhere the error is being shown. Okay, everywhere the error is being shown. Now we will bother about it once. Let me just go with the things, and let me just clear the things that are not required for me. I'll just delete all these things. Okay, I don't want these things. I don't want this, and I want init method, so I'll keep it as it is. Then I'll delete the things that are not required. Okay, what I'll do, I'll put this destroy method at the end. See, this is totally your wish. Where you want to keep, you can keep. Okay. Then I will delete all these annotations. I call it as Java annotations. By default, they will be created whenever you create a file. Okay. So I'm done with this. Next, what I will do is, this is happening only in my Eclipse. That is why it is giving me a problem. Okay. To find it out, it took me one week time. Okay. Then to remove all these errors, what is required is you just have to go to libraries, okay, and click on web app libraries, right click on web app libraries. Okay. uh, So what is that you are supposed to do? This servlet things, whatever are there, they are not recognizable. It is just because the project is not associated with the jar file that is required for Java x.servlet. That is the reason why in every line it is showing error wherever servlet word is used. Okay, so how I can do that? So I will repeat whatever I have done. I'll go to Java resources, select the libraries, okay, go to web app libraries in that, right click on it and go to build path. Okay, there you are going for what is called as configure build path. I'll repeat, go to libraries, right click on web app libraries and go to build path, configure build path. Okay, once I click on this, you can just see there are under the libraries tab, there is no jar file which supports servlets. Okay, so what I should do is I have to go to add external jars and you have to choose the proper jar file from the folder where you have created or where you have installed the Apache Tomcat. Okay, I have installed the Apache Tomcat in C, and inside that there is a folder by name Apache Tomcat 7.0.59. Okay, in that, in any Tomcat that you have installed, go to the library folder. Okay, lib folder. In any Tomcat that you have installed, go to lib folder, and in that there is something called as servlet API, servlet-api.jar. Okay, so click open and that gets added in the libraries of the current project. Go to OK. Now see, all those errors that were being shown are being removed. It is just because the library associated with the jar file that is associated with the servlet was not associated to the project that you have created. I hope these steps are clear for you. What I have done, I've gone to src folder, created my class file, that is .java file, okay, and then I have gone to libraries, selected, right clicked on web app libraries and added the new jar file that is called as servlet-api.jar. So once these are done, I'll just minimize these things. Okay. Once these are done, now my program's skeleton is ready. Program's skeleton is ready. You can just see there is a constructor by default created. If you want, you can keep it. Otherwise, you can remove it. It is not so mandatory. And there is a public void init which is used for initialization purposes. Suppose your servlet is using any variables that needs to be initialized. For example, count is equal to 0 if you want to have. Okay, definitely you can do it as part of the init function. Okay, right now I don't want this init function also to be there because I don't have any kind of initializations to be done. This first.java is doing only welcome message printing. That's it, nothing else other than that. So I'll keep the destroy method also as usual. I'll not be altering anything. If you want to close anything that you have opened, if you want to close it, definitely you can go for what is called as destroy. If you want to kill the things, okay? So all those things are being accompanied in destroy method. Now, where is my functionality going on? The functionality has to be there as part of the second method that is listed, which is called as doGet, or I have doPost, or I have service method. Okay, I think in the previous class only I have mentioned about it. Now, when you start editing this function, you can just see by default it has taken HTTP servlet. Definitely you can very well go for what is called as servlet request. Yesterday I have discussed about servlet, generic servlet and HTTP servlet. Okay, servlet is an interface, generic servlet is an abstract class, HTTP servlet is also an abstract class. Okay, any one among these three can be used for writing the programs. Okay, here by default it has taken HTTP servlet. Now, any service method you take will have two parameters associated with it. The two parameters talk about request and the second talks about response, because any web application that you take will have a request and a response. So by default, the parameters for the service will be the request object and the response object. They may throw servlet exception or they may throw IO exception. Okay, so throws servlet exception comma IO exception. Now, when I'm writing these things, the content of do get or do post or service method, I require what is called as a writer to be written, which is used to write the things on the response. Okay, response is for what? Response is writing the things, sending back the things. Request is requesting from the user what you want. So how this servlet usually works? On click of a button, servlet will be loaded, background process will be done, and then the response will be sent. This is how the servlet works. It is at the background always. Who is at the front? The front will be either XML or HTML or XHTML or any other similar kind of ML languages. So there will be a GUI or there will be anyways the sending of the data. On click of something, the servlet will be initiated. The servlet, how it is initiated? It is initiated from the dynamic descriptor file. What is that dynamic descriptor file? It is web.xml file. Okay. But before going to that, let me take up how to write this do get or do post or service method. Whenever I'm writing the response back to the client who has requested the things, I have to have a handler for writing out the things. And when I'm writing out the things, definitely read and write have to be of type java.io. So I'll write java.io dot. I have something called as print writer. Let me end it. Okay, there is something called as java.io.printWriter. This printWriter is a class which will help me to have a writer object in order to have the writing of the response enabled. Okay, so whenever I want to write a response, I just want to have a response handler associated with this print writer. Okay, so what I will do is, first of all, when I'm writing the response is of what type? In what way you want to send the response? That needs to be made sure before going ahead with other functionality writing. So let me write response dot content type. Why it is not coming? Okay, response dot get content type. What this does? Response dot get content type of text slash, sorry, the spelling mistake is there, text slash HTML. What is that I am writing? The kind of the response that I am getting is of type text slash HTML. 1 minute. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm just sorry. 1 minute. Okay. Yeah. So before I decide what is the category of the response that is being written, I should tell the servlet that you are supposed to send the response in this format only. You are to use this format for sending the response. The format may be a plain text, it may be an image, it may be an HTML, it may be a video. Okay, any kind of response can be there. So to decide upon what is the kind of the response that servlet is giving, that is given by the following line. Okay, response dot set content type. Response dot set content type. When I do response dot set content type, in double quotes. In brackets, I will write what is the type of the content in response I will be receiving. So I'll write text/html for the current example. Okay. If you write image/jpeg, image/gif, text/plain, the ways in which I have set the content, in that manner only the response will be written from the servlet. Okay. After processing the data. Now, once I have done this, I should also create what is called as print writer handler. Okay, I should create a handler for print writer. Who is this print writer? It is the outputting class. It is the outputting class. Using the object of print writer, the response is written. Okay, and this response has to be written using the out as the handler. Who is this handler? It is the object of print writer class. Now I have to assign this to what is called as response. Response dot get writer. So these two lines are common for any of the servlet program that you write. I'll repeat again. You have to set the content type of the response by giving as a parameter what is the type of the content that the response will be giving. Then initiate an object of printWriter class and assign that to response object through getWriter method. So now onwards, if you want to write any print method, you are using the out as the object with which you are calling the print function. Okay. Now, after this is done, yesterday when I was speaking, JSP and Java servlets are having very important difference between them. JSP is Java contained inside HTML. I'll repeat, Java contained inside HTML is JSP. But servlet is Java file is as it is inside the Java file wherever required HTML is being called. Okay. Now, when it comes to the printing part, I will concentrate on what is called as HTML. Because HTML allows me to have the options like bold it, underline it, italicize it, change the font size, give the different family of the font, color the font, underline the font. Okay, all those options are available as part of the HTML. In order to have the colorifying of the things, I will call HTML as part of the Java. Only for that reason, not otherwise. And even when you want to arrange the things in the table format, who is helping to you? HTML will be helping to you. Okay. When you come to database connectivity with servlet, definitely you will appreciate the use of HTML. Now, right now, in this simple example, I'm simply printing hello. That's it. Nothing else other than that. So what I will do is I'll go to init function and I will write string say message equal to, okay, let me 1 minute, msg equal to, what I will do is I'll just string msg, I'll write private string msg, okay, give a semicolon, and in msg I'll write welcome. Okay, semicolon. So now what I have done, I have declared a variable and assigned a value to that in the init function. Now using this variable that I have declared in init, that I'll be printing in the service method. So how do I print it? I will use out as the object and I have the simple function print similar to the other things that I have. Okay. Out.print. What is out? Out is an object of printWriter class which is associated with the response. Now, since I am using the HTML things, I am accessible very well to HTML tags, all the HTML tags, because HTML I can use in Java in servlets. Okay, so you know that there is something called as heading. Okay, h1, h2, h3, all those headings are available as part of HTML. Now headings, if I give h2, it will be of size say 20 and it will be bolded by default. Okay, then inside this what I'll write, hello from servlet. Okay, then I have ended h2. Okay, then what I will do, I'll write one more print and let me write say font. I'll change the font color equal to single quotes red. Okay, then before slash font I'll write slash font. Okay, before slash font what I will do is I'll just write msg. msg is what? The variable which contains the word welcome. Okay, yeah, now just pay attention in the way I have written this code. Are you able to see the things that I have written? Please let me know from your end. From long time I am speaking.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Now look at the way it has been written. First thing that I have written is the heading. Okay, it will be definitely of larger font size, and then I have written font color as red and printed message. Okay, now what is that I have done till now? I have created a project and I have created a class inside src folder. I have added the required library and that's it, nothing else other than this. Okay, this is nothing but completion of .java file. By default, the class file would have been created. Okay, you can just see the class file created. Now what I will do, I'll just minimize this Java resources and go to web content folder. Inside this web content folder, there is something called as web.xml. Okay, in this example, I just want to show you the connection between one file to another file. Okay, so what is that I will do? Please pay attention. What is that I'll do? I'll create one HTML file. Inside the HTML file, I'll give one hyperlink. On click of the hyperlink, the servlet displays me the message. Okay, I'll repeat again. I'll create an HTML file. The HTML file has only the hyperlink. On click of the hyperlink, it should load and print the message that I have printed in the servlet. So right now what I have done, I have created only the Java file which does the servicing. Now what is my task is, inside this web.inf folder, what is this web.inf folder? I have spoken about it 2 or 3 times when I was creating the project. Web.inf folder contains either XHTML or XML or HTML files. So if I want to create any HTML file, I have to go to web.inf folder, right click on it and go to new and select HTML file. Okay, here at this point, I have to give the name of the HTML file. Say, let me give entry.html. Okay, so it means it is the entry point from where I will navigate to the servlet. Are you getting this? Any doubt at this point? Please let me know. Do you have any doubts at this point?
No, ma'am.
No? Okay. Now I'll click on next. It will just show me how the things will look like. Preview will be shown. Okay, and then click on finish. It has created me the whole content of HTML. I will not bother about other things. Only thing I'll bother about is I'll directly go to the title part. Okay, here the title of the page that is being loaded, that will be changing. In the web browser, many a times you have seen when I open a page, web page, title will be untitled many a times because it might not be assigned with any title. So I will just give my first servlet example. My first servlet example. Then inside the body, inside body/body, I'll create one hyperlink. Okay, a href equal to, in double quotes, I'll just give the name of the class which needs to be navigated to. After clicking on the hyperlink, it has to navigate to first.java, that is the class file of first. So I will give only first. Okay. Before giving hyperlink /a, I will have to give click here for the welcome message. Okay, so this is the text that will be displayed on the hyperlink. This is the text that will be displayed on the hyperlink. I will just save it. Okay, do nothing other than saving. I have saved it. Now what I will do, I will open web.xml. I'll open web.xml. Yes, now this web.xml by default will be filled with so many things. So many things. Actually, the web.xml is a file with which the loading of the servlet happens. Okay. This XML file has in total 23 inbuilt tags. 23 inbuilt main tags I am talking about. Okay. Such kind of main tags, there are around 23. Out of them, all those 23 tags are coming under what is called as web-app. Okay, it is a kind of web application that you are creating, and it has something called as XML-NS. See guys, please pardon me for this time. These all parts you will be learning what is the need of all these things in your web technology subject. Okay, pardon me for not explaining this because it takes longer time to explain the things. So many options are there. Okay, any XML file will begin with opening tag $XML, and it will end with question mark greater than symbol. Okay, you can just see in between these two tags the XML has been started. Now inside XML, XML's beauty is you can have user defined tags unlike HTML. HTML has built-in tags, you cannot change the tag, but XML supports user-defined tags. So web app is one such tag which is available. Inside this, there are around 23 sub tags available. Out of them, I'll be using only 3 to 4 sub tags for my reference in Servlet or JSP. Okay. Right now, you can just see welcome file list is available. What is this welcome file list? Whenever you start running a servlet project, who is the first element or who is the first file that is getting loaded? That is indicated in this. And you can see by default, this web.xml would have been filled with so many things. It has shown you different varieties of extensions of the files. So initially, you must have any one of these files to get connected to a servlet. Okay, so either it can be HTML, it can be HTML, it can be JSP, it can be of any of these categories. So right now, right now, I want only one of the files to be the initial files with which I will enter into the servlet file. So what I will do, I'll keep only one and remove rest all. Please note down these things that I have done. The modifications that I have done, please note down the things. I have opened web.xml and under welcome file list, I have kept only one of the entry for welcome file. Okay. So who is the welcome file for your whole of the servlet that you are creating? Look at this. Entry.html is the file which has a reference to the servlet. So what is the name of the HTML file that is acting as a welcome file? It is entry.html. Okay, I have saved it. So whenever the first servlet is run, web.xml is loaded. It searches for the entry point. What is that entry point? Welcome file. And whatever is given, that file will be initiated first. Okay. Once this is done. Next, when I am running a servlet file, I have a sub tag called as servlet. Okay. In between this servlet and /servlet, I have to write the kind of the servlet that needs to be loaded. Okay, so I will write servlet name slash servlet name. In between these two, what is the name of the servlet that I'm running first? So I'll write next servlet class, servlet hyphen class. Between servlet class and slash servlet class, I'll write first. So these are just the repetitions. Don't worry about it. Okay. Now what I will do, I'll have something called as servlet mapping. Please remember when I created, just 1 minute, I'll show you. Sorry, Java resources. Okay. I'll just show you when I created for the first time, right click and new and went to servlet. When I gave the class name, say second, for instance, I'm giving, if I click on next, look at this URL mapping that I was speaking about. This is a URL in the web page that needs to be bothered about. So from the HTML file, it has to go to that particular URL in order to load the class file. What is the class file that is given? The class file that is given is first. Okay. Now, inside this servlet mapping, I have something called as, it has two options. One is servlet name and another is URL mapping. Okay, between URL mapping and slash URL mapping, you're talking about what is called as the URL mapping that is listed when you are created the first.java. Look at the way it is been written, forward slash followed by the name of the class. This is the same thing that will appear in the web browser. This is the same thing that will appear in the web browser. Okay, sorry, I've just kept it blank. Why URL mapping? It is showing me error. Just 1 minute. Okay, servlet name is expected. Just 1 minute. Wondering why this kind of error is coming. Just 1 minute. Yeah, there is servlet name and name of the servlet is first. URL mapping is slash first and slash URL mapping slash servlet mapping. This is correct. Why it is giving me error? Just 1
Excuse me.
minute. Yeah.
Ma'am, it should be URL pattern instead of URL mapping, ma'am, in that third line.
Yes. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you. Okay. I'm so sorry. Servlet mapping and URL mapping I have done. I'm sorry. Okay. It should be URL pattern. Okay. Yeah. Actually, it will take automatically from its own class things, but it was not taking also. Anyways. So now, when you have web-app, you have subsections like welcome file list, servlet, and servlet mapping. See, look at the things that are very important here. Welcome file list talks about the first file that needs to be loaded, and on click of the button from this file, where it has to go in the URL. Okay, it is given as / first. The name must map with the class that you have created. Okay, Once this is done, so what all things I have done? I've created under the src folder the Java file, added the things that are required in the doGet or doPost or service method. Then I have gone for creation of an HTML file. Okay, and inside HTML for this current example, I have given only the hyperlink. On click of the hyperlink, where it has to be going, that is given by URL pattern. Okay, that is given by URL pattern under servlet mapping. I hope this is clear for you. The steps are clear for you guys. Please let me know from your end. Steps are clear or not clear? So I will just repeat the steps once again. Okay. First step, click on Java EE perspective. Second, load the server. Third, create the new project by going to new dynamic web project. Okay. Give the name of the project, click next, and go to checking of the web.xml inclusion, then finish. Once this is done, so many options are already routed in the servlet project that you create. Under that, go to Java resources, go to src folder, right click and create the servlet, edit the things that are required, save it, and then go to libraries. In that libraries, you have to go for web app libraries, add external jar file and select from the proper path from the Apache Tomcat lib folder servlet-api.jar file. Okay, then go to web content folder, go to webinf, there create an HTML file, okay, which acts as the welcome file for any servlet, and that welcome file needs to be added in web.xml. Then give the name of the servlet, give the class for the servlet, then under servlet mapping, give the URL pattern that is required for the web page to run. Okay, once these all things are done, I'll minimize everything. I'll right click on the project. I'll right click on the project and go to run as, run on server. Okay, run as and run on server. Normally, choose an existing server will be by default selected. By default selected. If you have installed the Tomcat correctly and if you have loaded the Tomcat server inside the Eclipse correctly, then this will work out fine, not an issue. Tomcat is required for Eclipse. There is a built-in server for NetBeans which is called as Glassfish server. Automatically that gets loaded whenever you are running servlet or a JSP in NetBeans. This is how it is different. And the way in which you have edited web.xml in Eclipse, that way it is not required in NetBeans. You just have to give the name of the URL pattern. That's it when you are creating the project. So editing of web.xml is there in Eclipse, not in NetBeans normally. Okay. Then I'll go to next. You can just see these are the configured servlets that are there. Many a times if you want to remove any of these things, you can just select on that and remove. Whenever you want, you can add it. Okay, then go on finish. It will take a bit of time because server has to start. Okay, just 1 minute. I'll just go to web.xml again. Let me check. Entry.html is the file. Let me just copy. I'll just close it. Let me create entry.html again. Probably it is not taking the path correctly. Maybe the reason. Remove. Where is remove? Okay. It may be the reason. I have to create it inside web content. New HTML file. Then say entry.html. And I'll just paste the things. Okay. Then go to web.xml. I've given entry.html. I'll save it. Right click. Run as, run on server, click on next, finish. You want to restart? Yes. Okay, you can just see there is a web browser. By default, the web browser is associated inside the Eclipse only. You can very well start this separately in the other web browser. Okay, so if I click on this, hello from Servlet, welcome. Okay, you just have to imagine like this. I have typed login and password. On click of the submit button, it has loaded into the another page which has many options, something like that. You want to link those things, definitely you can go like this. Okay, now in the similar grounds, let me just take 1 minute, only this much. Okay, you can just see I have run the same thing in another browser. Okay, it is working in the browser also. You have to make sure that probably it is visible to you. Okay, what I am showing, or it is not
Yes,
visible.
ma'am.
Yes, it is visible.
It's
It is
So
visible.
you
visible,
can
ma'am.
even run the program in any browser that you want to choose. Okay, by default, whenever you run it inside the Eclipse, it automatically generates the web browser and the browser starts running in the same window. You can definitely run the same code in another window as well. Okay, so now in similar grounds, I'll just show you the different things that I have done. Okay, let me just show you. I have done a login servlet. Let me just open that program for you. Let me close all these things. Let me open the things that I have done. Let me close this. I have created a login page which accepts username from me. Okay, this is very important example that I need to cover. So let me just go to HTML file. First of all, login.html that I have created. You can just see I have created. Hope that you know how to write HTML form. Please let me know from your end, or otherwise I have to tell it. Let me know from your end. जल्दी बोलो यार. Do you know how to create a form in HTML? Yes, you are knowing. Okay. Okay. Now when you create, I have created a simple form with method post. Let me write it as get. Okay, and change it. Check how this looks. And I have given action is equal to login. What is this login? Login is the source file, .java file. The .java file I have given, and I have given a label enter name. Input type is equal to text. ID that you have given, this is very important. This is the ID through which I will access in .java file. Okay, if you want me to add one more thing, I'll add. Okay, enter your nickname. Okay, and let me write input space type equal to text, ID equal to pass, name equal to pass, and this input. Okay, save it. Then I'll go to login.java. In this login.java, this is very important. Please note, when you want to have the navigation of the data from HTML to Java file, the servlet file, I have, that's a request. Okay, login, from the login, the whatever data I'm supplying, that acts as the request. So I can access the value that is entered by using the function called as getParameter function available in request. It is not a response, it is being sent as a request. Okay, so I will write string password is equal to request dot get parameter of within double quotes, whatever ID you have supplied there, that ID you need to pass it here. Okay, this within double quotes, whatever you have given, that and the ID that you have given in HTML must match. Okay, if they are different, definitely you will not get it. Then save this. Okay, and let me just print it again. Out dot print of say, let me write password is, and let me write font color equal to blue. Okay, sorry, I've given blur blue, and let me write plus what is this password plus within double quotes and the font. So password is, this is how you are writing the things. Okay, now I'll stop this for a while because I have stopped that. Now I'll run this login servlet. Okay, I'll just open web.xml for you and show you what is the thing that is important. Look at this, servlet name is login, servlet class is login, and URL pattern is /login. Okay, so once this is done, I'll just right click, run as, run on server. Next, and click on finish. Okay, you can just see enter name and password is there. Definitely you can get this down by giving BR, that is break. Okay, next line it can come before over here. Let me show you input type. After this you can write break. It will come to the next line. Okay, so break is used for writing going to the new line, but now right now I have started already, so let me stop this, close this and rerun it. Okay, you can just see the things are visible in the next line. So I will enter, say, Indira. Okay, mine, enter the password, nickname. Okay, I'm sorry, I have printed it as password. So click on OK. Just see, okay, we will look at this error later. You just see, I have changed the method to get, and this is what I was speaking about query string in the previous class. Okay, if you write the method as get, the values that you have entered will appear as part of the URL, which is not mandatory always. Okay, which is not correct always. Suppose if you enter the password here and password will be revealed. That's why I'll enter post. Okay, let me just enter post and just check how the things will be. I'll just go back to login.java. Okay, and I have written string password request.get parameter password. Okay, login.html, nickname I have given. Instead of that, enter password. Okay, so input type is equal to, instead of text I will write input type is equal to password. Okay, now I have written all the things as usual. Web.xml has been edited. Now I will right click, let me just stop it, and let me start it again. Run as, run on server, click on next, finish. Okay, now enter name and password, say ABC, and let me write 123 as a password. Okay. Welcome ABC. Password is 123. Are you all getting this or any doubt here? Previously, I was getting that HTTP error because Tomcat was not stopped for the previous run. So there was a clash between the servlets. Yeah. Any doubt at this point?
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yeah.
Ma'am, for the login, ma'am, even though we are using that extension are different, like Java and HTML, ma'am, but the file name remains same, ma'am.
Pardon?
Like, ma'am, for the login, ma'am, for the login, ma'am, we were using that extension like one is .java, ma'am, and another one is a .html, ma'am.
Yes.
But the file name remains same, ma'am.
Correct.
Does it produce any?
It doesn't pose any problem, man, because whenever you talk in web.xml always it is nothing but HTML file it is bothering about. Okay, and whenever you are talking in login.html, let it open. Okay, the action part always it points to another. If suppose Ajay, you just imagine like this, after login page, on click of OK button, it will navigate to another HTML file. If that is the case, I would have given .html here. If there is extension missing, it means that it will search for the class file with the same name. It will search for the class file with the same name. So if there is an extension that indicates it is the opening file, there is no problem at all if you give the same name.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Yeah, I have written down many more such examples. Let me just go to this.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Who is speaking?
Ma'am, it's Irana, ma'am.
Yeah, tell me.
Ma'am, in the input tag, ma'am, what is the difference between ID and name, ma'am?
Yes, very good question. I was about to ask that actually from you. See, name is not so important. You can very well remove this. Okay, the name with which you are calling that particular tag. ID is important. ID is the thing that is required to move from one page to another page. In PHP, you will get request.get ID. Okay, through ID only you have the accessibility. Name is just for the sake that this particular tag is called with this particular name. That's it. Name can vary with ID. I can call it as ID is USN, name is name. Name can be same. It means two people can have the same name, but ID has to be different. Probably Irana, I think you will understand with this example. Name,
Yes.
say two persons are having the same names, but their USNs are different. So ID is the one which is unique. ID cannot repeat.
Okay, ma'am. I
Okay.
got it.
Yeah. Any other thing? Yeah, who is speaking?
Ramya, ma'am.
Yeah, tell me.
Ma'am, how do we style the sheets, ma'am, here? In HTML, we use CSS.
CSS. CSS is supported in here also. You can very well style.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Somshekhar, you have typed the message. I'm sorry, I cannot see the window. That window is gone long back. Okay. Can you just unmute and read the thing that you have asked?
Ma'am, in PHP we can access the data using the name also, right?
Correct. But here we have ID. You are right. But there also we have Somshekhar, $_post we have. Okay, $_post or $_get, or you have get ID. All those methods, they talk about ID only. You can just check. You have worked on PHP, right? Change the name. Remove that name from the HTML. Even then it will work because ID is important.
Okay, ma'am. I will check.
Okay, yeah. Yes, any other doubt? Okay, can you quickly try this program from your side? I want all of you to write .java file. Okay, I'll open it and keep it in front of you. You have to create an HTML file for reading two numbers. reading two numbers. Enter number 1 or enter integer 1, enter integer 2. Okay, two things have to be there. I'll open HTML form for you. Okay, instead of name and password, you have to read both in the text format. Okay, two numbers. On click of the submit button, it should navigate to the servlet file. The servlet must take in the data from the HTML using request.get parameter, store them in N1 and N2. Definitely you will get them in strings. Please note it. Definitely you will get them in strings. You have to convert them to parsent by doing parsent, integer.parsent. Okay. So along with this request.get parameter, I'll just add this. Sorry, I'll just add this for you. What you are supposed to do is, let me undo this. Yeah, I'll just show you how you have to write. Int n1 is equal to integer dot parseInt of. Okay, request dot get parameter of, say num1 you have given as the id. Okay, and this and semicolon. This is how you are extracting number 1 and number 2. Okay, once you have extracted the two numbers, you have to print the sum of these two numbers. Can you try this program quickly in 5 minutes? Say yes or no.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'll give you 5 minutes of time. Let me do it parallelly for you. Sorry. Let me create new dynamic web project. Servlet. Go to next, generate web.xml, finish. Then Java resources. Yes, anyone completed? Okay, anyone completed? Okay, let me check it. Compute.java. Please unmute and let me know anyone has completed. Why it is giving integer.parseInt. Okay. No one. Okay. Number format exception. Yes, anyone from your end? I'm unable to see your comments, guys. Yeah.
Sam, can we do something like this, like n1 dot int value or double value? I mean, we'll
Yeah,
see that
that's
now.
what I'm thinking. Integer.parseInt is not working here. It should work actually.
Ma'am, do we need to import something for that to work, or it will work like that?
It has to work because it is simple Java. Okay, Java, inside Java it is HTML. So when it is normal Java, it has to work. Because anytime we talk about parseInt only, integer.parseInt we'll do normally. Okay, anyways, we will end the class now. Yeah, I'll be posting all these programs into your, after I have done the proper editing to this program, including this program, all the programs I'll be sharing to you in the Google Classroom. I'll just show you one more program that I have done. Hit count it is. Number of hits. Each time I click on refresh button, it will show you the number of visitors for that web page. Okay. I'll be sharing all the programs to you. Don't worry about it. Yeah. Yeah. So if I click on this number of hits, it will show each time I press the reload button. Okay. So number of hits that have been done. So anyways, I'll be sharing all these programs to you, including web.xml, HTML file, everything shared to you in the Google Classroom. Okay. Shall we end the class now?
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes. Who is speaking?
It's Irana, ma'am.
Yeah.
Ma'am, like, what is the difference between the constructor and init method, ma'am?
Init method, yes, the question is 100% right. Init method, it is normally used to tell that this servlet is using these things. Init method is implicit. Whenever a servlet is being initiated, init by default will be called. Okay, it is nothing but the starting of the servlet. But constructor is especially, it is for the initialization purpose. No other purpose for that. You can very well write a constructor and leave init method when you are writing. Okay. But init method by default will be called by the servlet configuration, the servlet manager. It will call by default the init method. But constructor will be called only when you have written it.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
you can either initialize an init method or initialize in the constructor.
Okay, ma'am. Got it,
Yeah.
ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah. Any other questions? Yeah. Who is speaking?
I'm Ajay, ma'am.
Yeah.
Ma'am, I have a question regarding the JDBC connection, ma'am. Ma'am, in
Okay.
that regarding the JDBC connection, ma'am. Ma'am, in that, ma'am, that local host, if I give, ma'am, that local host 8080, ma'am, it is producing that error, ma'am, because,
What
ma'am,
is the error? That is server error? Is it server error?
yes, ma'am, a server error as well as that class not found that type, ma'am.
Okay, Ajay, what you do?
Yes, ma'am.
Tuesday you'll be finishing your IA, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Wednesday I'll be taking JDBC connectivity with a servlet.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, then you see the steps properly and accordingly you follow.
No, ma'am, means I have a question like regarding, ma'am. Ma'am, as earlier you also show that, ma'am, in the URL, ma'am, you are also having that localhost as a 8080, ma'am.
8080.
Yes, ma'am. But while connecting that JDBC, ma'am, you are just using that localhost only, ma'am.
Where? Normal JDBC. Normal
yes, ma'am.
JDBC.
Ma'am,
Normal JDBC. Okay, normal JDBC by default it works on WAMP server. Okay, MySQL. I would have started the WAMP server and running this JDBC programs normally. Okay, but when I'm running servlet, I have to give the port number on which the servlet has to work because it is working on HTTP web browser. It is. There we were talking about local host available, which is already, the server is already running there. And the server support number will be taken by default.
Yeah, ma'am, because
you will be running. Okay, WAN server you will be running. That WAN server support number will be taken by default. And normally when you want to run a servlet in the localhost machine, you will have to give localhost : the port number with which the Tomcat server you have installed. You have to give like that. It is only for the porting purpose. Ajay, your voice is disturbed.
Ma'am, like, ma'am, in the exam, ma'am, like, when I install that exam, ma'am, that the standard port number is 80, ma'am. So that 80, I think it is taken by that Oracle, ma'am. That's why, ma'am, I have given that 8080, ma'am, for the exam as well. So,
Okay.
ma'am, ma'am, if I in the URL also, ma'am, if I just I will click localhost, I will type, ma'am. Then exam will not appear, ma'am. If I type,
Maybe
ma'am,
it is a
localhost
reason.
8080, ma'am.
Ajay,
Yes, ma'am.
Ajay, it may be the reason that both the servers are taking the same port number. There is a clash in the port number. So you have to change one of the port numbers.
Yeah, ma'am. That's why I have given that 8080, ma'am.
XAMPP is working on 8080.
Yes, ma'am. It is working on
And what
8080,
about
ma'am.
the server on the other end?
It is a default, ma'am. 80, ma'am.
See, there is a clash in the port number. That's why you are getting that error. You have to have a different port number for both the
Ma'am,
servers.
but 8080, 80 and 8080 different, right, ma'am? So I
Okay, you
think
are
it will not
talking about
clash.
80 and 8080. Now it is
Yes, ma'am.
okay. Yeah, then it is okay.
But in the localhost, ma'am, when I given that localhost 8080, ma'am, but it is
Hmm?
not taking, ma'am. It is producing that error, ma'am.
Okay. What we will do is, so after your exams are over, you do one thing. You just connect me to your Cisco WebEx. Show me the things that are happening. Then I can very well comment on it.
Yes, ma'am. Sure, ma'am.
Okay?
Thank you,
Yeah.
ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Yeah. Any other things?
Ma'am,
Good.
you will be uploading the screenshots that I have server.
Yeah, I'll be doing that. Don't worry. I'll be doing that.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Anything else?
Ma'am,
Okay. Yeah.
ma'am, one request, ma'am.
Hmm.
Ma'am, while writing the program in Eclipse, can you please increase the font size, ma'am? Because while we are seeing the video, it will be too small, ma'am. Like
Okay.
now we
Okay.
can zoom in and see, ma'am. Like in WebEx, we
Okay.
can zoom in and see them.
You should have told it before. Okay, I'll do that. Not
No,
an issue.
ma'am.
Hmm?
It is understandable, ma'am, but those are not that clear. Like you will send the program,
I'll
no,
do
ma'am.
that by next class.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Yes, any other thing? Then shall we stop?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. So you will have a portion up to servlets. Okay. Please note it down. You'll have portion up to servlets. One program will be given on simple servlets. Okay.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yeah. You
If
have
the
database
servlet program
connectivity.
is asked,
Yeah.
in that web.xml file will be there,
Need
no?
not be. Need
We need
not be.
to,
Need not be.
I mean, okay, fine.
Okay.
We will be writing HTML and
And the Java file. Huh.
servlet program.
Okay.
That one only. If the
Yeah,
question
that's
is
it.
given.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. Shall we end? Yes. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you, ma'am.